Since our esteemed guest, Shri Nilesh Desai sir, Director, Space Application Center, will be leaving, we would like to present a memento to sir, and for that I request Dr. Sunil from MNCFC to kindly present a memento to sir. We thank you, sir, for joining us for this event. Thank you. So let me introduce a little bit about us to all the in very shortly. Mr. S. Palivalan sir is working as a professor in TNU. He worked for Suflam project for a groundnut and yield estimation, crop simulation model for maize crop. He was also enrolled in Tamilnadu irrigated agriculture modelization project. He is the member of National Expert Committee NRDMS. He is also a life member of Indian Society of Remote Sensing. Dr. V.K. Segal sir did his PhD in agriculture physics from IARI in 2001. His specialization is in wide field of remote sensing, agriculture meteorology, and disaster management. He is also currently working on crop simulation mode in collaboration with MNCFC. Due to his wide experience, he is also a member of various committees under Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. To name a few, National Crop Mapping Committee through Remote Sensing and National Drought Management Committee. Shri Atul Chudasar started as a senior manager, business development for Feedback Business Consulting Service Private Limited. He also worked as a vice president in Star Agri Warehousing and Collateral Management Limited. He is extremely strategic professional with demonstration history of working in agriculture warehousing industry. Dr. Prashant Rajankar sir has done PhD in land resource management or geoinformatics with an approximately 30 years of experience in the application of remote sensing and GIS technology in natural resource management, agriculture, and social science. He has successfully managed a large-scale project sponsored by ISRO, leading multidisciplinary team as a project manager. His area of interest are in agriculture, horticulture, social science, remote sensing. Sir has contributed over 30 research papers and presentations in reputed national and international journals and symposiums. Meanwhile, I would request to Dr. Karun Kumar Chaudhary sir, kindly please join on the dais. Sorry, sir, wait. So let me. Sir is having a gold medalist in PhD from Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. He has more than 14 years experience in the application of geospatial technology in agriculture, and currently he is heading crop assessment division of NRSC ISRO at Hyderabad. His area of specialization include crop mapping and crop stress detection with multi-sensor and multi-resolution data in the sampling technique for improving crop yield estimation. He is life member of various national scientific societies. Dr. Murli Guma sir is a cluster leader and principal scientist. He has experience over more than 26 years in remote sensing and geoinformation system, and their application in agriculture, wetland, river basin management, natural resource management, water resources, forest. He also had a span over 35 countries spread over Asia and Africa. He is currently working on monitoring croplands and natural resources using Earth observation data and machine learning algorithm. I would like to them to begin their discussion.
Good afternoon to all. So this session on crop monitoring and yield prediction, we have to wrap up within 30 minutes of time. So the major points of discussion of this panel is what are the options, best options for crop mapping using satellite data, then for crop health assessment, disease detection, and development of certain agrometeorological or biophysical products and advisories to farmers. And second one is development of advanced algorithms for yield prediction based on multiple data sources. And third, of course, how we can judiciously use drone and UAV data for field level data collection, analysis, and damage assessment in combination with the satellite data. So we have today very eminent panelists, 6 eminent panelists with us. So I'll go one by one to take their view for certain aspects based on their expertise. So I would like to start with Dr. S. Palanivelan from TNAU. That you have done a lot of work in Tamil Nadu using drone data with the drone-based imaging, and also I think you are going from some nanotechnology-based, some formulation of pesticide and using from drone and all this. So drone has both the usages in agriculture. So how we can integrate this use of drone data for field level data collection and management, or maybe damage assessment? Your thought, please.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to everyone. So from our experiences in from TNAU, so we have utilized different drone sensors, starting from different types of drones, copter type, then fixed wing, and we have used these drone data sets with RGB as well as multispectral sensors, especially in relation to crop insurances. That is a large scale damage assessment. It can be done very precisely in a shorter span of time. For example, cyclone, the damages may be 50 kilometers on either side of this cyclone path. So in that angle, we can cover the entire area within 2 days with a swarm of drones, and we can do the mapping, and we can come out with the yield loss assessment. If we go for the conventional system of our remote sensing based data set, it will take more time, and it the spatially, that is a very fine data set at individual farm level or stakeholder level, it will be easier with the drones. And nowadays, earlier, the availability of drone, the advancement in the drone technology, nowadays in the fixed wing type, that is VTOL type, that is vertical takeoff and landing type is available, which is easier for operation. So we can do the damage assessment very precisely and easily also. That is our experience. And regarding the data quality, already we have developed the methodology for yield estimation or crop health monitoring using the satellite data set, mainly the NDVI and other biophysical parameters. Same way, we can generate the biophysical parameters using these drones, and we can use it as the verification, or we can use it as ground truth for large scale mapping, because nowadays even doing the ground truth manually, it is also very much costly and time consuming. That is our experience in this field. So definitely drones have a lot of potential in yield estimation and yield loss assessment besides crop health monitoring.
Now, taking the clue and usage of drone for damage assessment, I have certain queries or questions to you. That what will be the turnaround time from drone imaging to giving the end solutions or end outputs for the users?
Yes. Now we have the advanced processing solutions and the cloud-based analytical solutions. So we can do these things. For example, around 200 square kilometer of area is affected, means within 2 days time we can come out with the precise mapping as well as the analyzed solution to the policymakers. That is the advancement happening in this field.
Now, the methodology is great, that 200 square kilometer within 2 days time, if you are able to give the outputs to, it is a great thing. Because drone data occupies huge memory.
Yes.
And my next question to you, that the methodology, suppose you are using or you are developing for suppose rice crop, how it is scalable to other crops and other regions, whether we can come up with some processor, universal processor for damage assessment based on drone. So in future we can think of that processor can sit to the drone data processing system itself, and directly we can get the damage assessment report.
Yes. So that is the need of the hour. We have to develop the methodology for different crops, because mostly our, especially in case of crop insurances, rice is the most highly insured crop. Around 80% of the farmers are rice farmers. Mainly the rice is cultivated, it is vulnerable in the coastal areas, and it is the damages are happening due to flood, cyclone, drought, everything. But for other crops, we have to develop the methodology, because many biophysical, I think you are the best expert in this field, developing the biophysical parameters from different sensors, satellite sensors as well as the drone sensor. So we have to come out with a platform to integrate these data sets, high resolution data sets with the satellite data in the Krishi DSS in one or other format.
That means crop specific models or approaches will be there.
Yes.
So there may not be universal
Yes.
approach for damage assessment for this drone based imaging, right?
Yes.
Thank you very much for your thoughts and views. So I now move on to our other panelist, to Dr. Karun. So Karun, you have also done a lot of work, may not be drone, but with the satellite data on the damage assessment, especially with respect to flood, hailstorm, pest, etc. And what are the different techniques actually to generate some yield proxies? Because directly yield or yield loss you may not always get from satellite data. So how you are addressing those problems?
Thank you, sir, and good afternoon, everyone. So I think since morning we have already seen different uses of remote sensing different areas. So coming to these questions, based on my experience, I will tell that if we see this role of remote sensing in as per crop insurance purpose is concerned, it is a damage assessment, because we have to see what are the risks and what are the damages happen because of that. So as we have seen some of the cases, we have worked on some of the, not on the all the risk, but as sir has said, hailstorms, flood, excessive rainfall. So in most of the cases, what information product required is that how much is the effect on the yield? That is the final questions. But now whether we are able to generate this thing from the satellite data, how much will be effect on the yield? So sometimes very data demanding. So But in first to go from the satellite data, what we can assess is how much area is affected. So the severity of damages, those things we can assess. And for that, what we require, the pre-data sets and the post-data sets. So for example, we have some experience on hailstorms. Hailstorms happen, it's in crop insurance, it's a localized damage also. It's a vast area damages also sometimes, depending on the things. So we have to see the satellite data, which are the satellite data available, whether available or not, optical is not available, then we have to go for the SAR data sets. If optical is available, pre and post, then we have to see the sensitive indices, which are the sensitive indices, and what is the severity of index it can capture. For example, wetness indicators are some indices. Some two short wave indices, we can use it from remote sensing point of view. So if we take two short wave infrared bands, it can capture a better severity levels. 3 severity levels we can capture. Like of the things, we have to explore. These are the R&Ds because right now no operational model is available. And just add to that one recent example, because we are working closely with the MP State Agriculture Department. Recently from 21st to 24th, there was a excessive rainfall. And huge rainfall and loss has been reported. And the loss happened to the transplanted paddy. So the paddy which is just transplanted. Now at this time we don't have the crop map available with us. So it requires a very early crop map. I don't know, the satellite data also have the limitations, as well as we require a total how much area is affected, and to here the role of the synthetic aperture radar data. Our own EOS4 data has come into picture. So likewise, for other disasters also, we can have to make a model and we have to make a scalable models. Thank you.
Yeah, my further queries or questions to you. See, disaster may not always happen at the end of the season. So as you have pointed out, at the early season also and mid-season also. So these weather adversaries at the different stages of the crop, it may happen a single time, it may happen multiple times. And at certain point of time, crop may be damaged, but again it can recover. Okay. So finally, yield loss factor, if we would like to, or yield reduction factor, if we would like to compute. So how we can take into account the multiple stages and multiple perils? So what can be the strategy for that? So should we restrict only to the yield reduction factor or biomass reduction factor also?
Yes. Very pertinent question, sir. This actually, to certain extent, we can do it through developing a robust yield index, if we can, because globally also, if you see, the role of the yield index is not exactly yield, but it's a yield index. If we can make such a yield index which depend on the phenological information, then that we can solve solve these things to certain purpose. So for that we require a multi-temporal satellite data. We have to derive the phases, ki early germination phase hai, or mid germination phase, or the end of the phase. And each of the phases, what are different features? For example, rainfall can be a feature, temperature can be a feature. For Rabi season crop, terminal heat stress is a major concern, and that happens in the end season. So if we can make proxies, I can say it's a phenological phase-wise proxies, and then integrating into a robust yield proxy, yes, it can be a thing. And the future, our research work is on that directions.
Yeah, thanks Korun for your thoughts and views. So he is telling that we can have the better yield proxies stage-wise, and it may vary from one crop to another crop also. So that needs to be investigated more with more R&Ds. Actually, this is a challenging problem. So we are now in the phase of developing some qualitative indicator, not the quantitative.
Yes, correct.
So that actually requires more research, I think.
Yes, and some of the examples, good examples is there. We have generated some yield proxy which is used in different crops. For example, West Bengal, we have used it and being used for crop insurance purpose, which captures some of these risk. I will not say all the risk, but a measure of the risk it captures and is reflected in the index. For example, if this year drought is there, it will reflected in index significantly bringing in doubt because of the features. So we have to select a good features and compose it into an index.
Do you think that India requires some risk-specific vulnerability zoning?
Yes, yes, that is very much required. In fact, we have to categorize these areas based on the long-term data series, which area is more vulnerable, for example, to the drought, to these extreme events,
Hailstorm.
and hailstorms. So it requires a lot of data sets, and that also at local scale. For example, if we can generate it at sub-district level, it can be add to various information, and the work is going on this direction. At a National Remote Sensing Center also we are working on that.
Right. Thank you for your inputs and thoughts. So now we move on to Dr. Prashant Rajankarji. So you are working in Maharashtra State Remote Sensing Center for a long time. So basic question is that how we can come up with a standard protocol for checking the quality of the crop mapping, because now ministry has set up an expert committee. You are also member for that, and you have long experience. So kindly give your thoughts on that.
Thank you, sir, and good afternoon to everyone. We have in Maharashtra, we have been working since last 10 years on state level crop mapping basically. Maharashtra has got almost 307 lakh hectare of territory. Out of that, 160 lakh hectare is under a kharif crop. And there are 5 basic prominent crops in Maharashtra like tur, cotton, soybean and paddy. The way we are approaching to the problem is we are basically stratified the entire cropping area into different zonations, and wherein soil is a basic criteria for that. So that soil-based stratification, agroclimatic based stratification, and the in-season indices are one more strata we are utilizing for that sake. The challenge in the process is basically the mixed cropping pattern of Maharashtra, wherein cotton and tur is taken as a mixed crop with intercrop and 5:3 rows or 5:2 kind of thing. So merely using high resolution satellite data may not serve the purpose in that sense. But we need quality ground truthing techniques, and that too based on very robust evidence-based and geotag photographs. So a dedicated system and the sizable effort should be diverted in that area, merely relying on improving the resolution itself. So my keen observation is that a quality ground information and the legacy data for that sake are the important parameters to be considered. And another, the frequency of observations, because in Maharashtra we have a crop SAP system at place wherein we get 70,000 data points every week. So basically that system is meant for crop scouting. But even though those entire exercise is being carried out through state machinery, but still sizable efforts are required to sanitize those data sets. So my first submission is a quality data points are a prime requirement. Added to that, of course, frequency of observations and the scale of observation is always there.
Thank you, Prashant ji. What you have mentioned is very much correct, that quality of ground truthing actually dictates the accuracy, and in addition to the frequency of satellite data and their radiometry. And you were telling that there may be huge number of ground truth data, but their quality checking, automation while doing the quality checking. So that is also very much required.
Yes.
So due to time constraint, we are not taking up more question. So definitely we will work together. Thank you very much for your inputs. Now I move on to our other panelist, Dr. Murli K. Gumma. In ICRISAT, you have long experience on using big data and GIS, and for automation and scalability. And recently you have published a very good paper on crop rotation, India specific. So that can serve as a basis for the crop type mapping also. So how we can make automatized and scalable crop mapping? Your thought?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, all of you. Yeah, this is a good question, actually. ICRISAT, we are working for a long time, especially rice fallow areas and major crops we quantified and we mapped out for different years. Recently, we have developed cropping systems as well. Mainly, ground data is playing key role. So most of the ground data collected by the ICRISAT staff, we have already available most of the data from MNCFC and different agencies. We found major problem is the ground data is, of course, the sample size is very big, but the sample size also, it is quality also not good. That is the major problem we identified. So most of our data, whatever we collect, ICRISAT has collected, with that information only, we mapped out cropping systems map. Even though the sample size is less, but we made a pretty good accurate mapping. And also we shared with the national partners as well. We got very positive feedback.
Yeah. So great for your input, but what kind of automation we can bring in for
Yes.
dynamic crop mapping?
Yes, dynamic crop mapping, especially for rice, wheat, and all major crop, some major crops we can do, sugarcane and other one. Especially for dryland areas, we should have at least minimum sample size of ground data is required for every year. If we have that data, that information for every year, then we can make a dynamic mapping also.
Means you are
It
telling
is possible.
that maybe after reaching the peak or so, maybe more frequent zone area can be given, crop specific,
Yeah.
to the system. Even Krishi DSS can also be benefited.
Yes,
for
it
that.
is benefited. Yes.
So what kind of technique actually you visualize?
Yeah, especially, our approach is, we developed a spectral matching technique. We, even for rice, especially 300 spectral profiles we have developed, different parts. It is rain-fed and different varieties, all these spectral bank for rice. Similar way, other crops also we have number of, spectral profiles we have developed. Based on that information, we can generate dynamic maps also. It is possible. And we are also doing for several crops, for our mandate crops.
Did you generate any temporal spectral library or?
Yes,
just,
temporal spectral libraries.
Okay. So that is great actually.
Yeah.
That is the need of the hour. So we look forward to more working with you, and even ministry also wants your expertise and all. So thank you very much for your inputs and thoughts. So now next I go to Dr. V.K. Saigal, who is having long experience, especially in the crop simulation modeling, crop yield modeling. So taking into account that implementing yield estimation at national level, so what kind of advanced algorithms you actually foresee in the near future?
Thank you, Dr. Bimal, and thanks the organizer for the opportunity. Before answering to that specific question, I have a addendum to what where Karun left actually on vulnerability mapping. Just to apprise the House and the different stakeholders that 6 ICR Institute along with BISA, we have already done a 5 kilometer, 20 crop specific, stage specific risk assessment, hazard, vulnerability and production risk assessment under current climate as well as future climate. Final beta is already there. The first version is going to be released in October. And we are not only looking at risk assessment, important is most of the time vulnerability assessment is done is of a combined agriculture system. But this time we have taken individual crop. If it is a high temperature at vegetative stage, what is the risk? It is at flowering stage, what is the risk? So those kind of things have already been done, and we are taking it further. How many number of farm households getting impacted by each of those risks, including 6 livestock commodity and fisheries also, and taking it further to what are the adaptation option applicable to mitigate or those risks. So this everything would be by this October first version, and by mid of next year, final version would be released. We are in talk with the Krishi DSS team to take some of these crop specific and commodity specific data to Krishi DSS also. And a lot of domain knowledge has gone into building those, because 6 of ICR institutes have been involved in that. Now coming to the question on yield modeling, what is happening that with the launch of newer satellites, improvement in data science and computational power, new algorithms and methods would be coming over time. One of the major drawback is coming that remote sensing is capturing the qualitative information in terms of crop is going to be good or bad or moderate or medium or low. But quantifying it in terms of kg per hectare, that is the challenge. And that is where, unless we built up a process chain where the crop specific processes and the remote sensing data based information get entangled together to generate a quantitative information. So I don't say very complex crop simulation models is one of the answer, but even very simple processed capturing models which are driven by remote sensing models which are giving us a lot of biophysical parameter information. So remote sensing from mapping and seeing the qualitative information to actually quantification of whether it is soil, it is of plant or that of atmospheric meteorological conditions, or to be integrated into a process base which could be very simpler. The only my suggestion and request to ministry is that, because already more than 33 years I have been working in this area, we need to develop 2 things we need to do now, because many of our stakeholders are going to do and bring newer models, newer methodologies. We need to develop some gold standard sites in this country across agroclimatic zones for different cropping system where, and it is not to be done for 1 year, at least 10-15 years we measure everything in those gold sites and evaluate all of these methodologies with respect to those gold sites, whether ISRO do, ministry do, ICR do, but this is what is required, and even state agriculture departments and state agencies could be involved. And the second more important thing is that we need to bring in lot of crowdsourced data into whether you are doing area or yield mapping, like even FPOs, because many of the FPOs are very active and lot of members they have, those information, Krishi DS is one such platform which should be able to cater to the technological aspect. But that kind of thing is to be encouraged, and we have to bring a lot of information coming from farmers directly. Of course, issues would be QC doing and their applicability. So this is my suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saigal. So just to take it forward, 1-2 queries from my side, that now in the recent age, you know that AI is coming in the yield modeling also, and we have the crop simulation. How to bridge these 2 things, whether that we can call it that advanced algorithm, we know that physics-based AI algorithm, all this, whether crop simulation and AI can be linked together. So this is one aspect. And another aspect, as you have pointed out, that some quantified variables and in the morning I have talked about essential agriculture variables, that is the buzzword now it is for GeoGlam. So how these essential agriculture variables really help in building better crop yield estimates?
Yeah, the thing is that bringing AI ML based technological advancements and crop simulation models could be done at 2 levels. One is we use directly as standalone and then do an ensemble kind of thing. The only issue with that AI ML modeling is that if they are really trained on a good crop cutting experiment data, which still is lacking or it is being built, that is one thing. And if we are doing it on our current GCS based yield estimates, then they are not going to be really capturing the the yield which is happening. So one is do a ensemble from 2 or 3 sources, applying different kind of AI ML model and process based model. The more important thing is that use AI ML to derive many of the essential agricultural variables and do a probabilistic assimilation them into crop models, which are actually process driven. So whether it is evapotranspiration, soil moisture, leaf area, leaf moisture, they getting derived because they are more driven by remote sensing. So AI ML models are more applicable there. And then putting them into crop simulation model at each of the stage, we could get a better and much better yield estimates than any of the other methodology.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your thoughts and inputs. So now move on to our another expert, Sri Atul Shura. As Mr. Atul, we were discussing that backward linkages, and you are in the, I think, forward linkages, that market and all this business oriented. So my question to you is that how you can leverage, suppose this crop mapping and yield prediction, it is coming from space sector or combining these different technologies, digital technologies, how it can gain a competitive advantage in the market. And second question is that how can yield prediction models help us make informed decisions on pricing and inventory management? So your thought, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vimal, and thank you to Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare for having me here. I'm feeling slightly out of the place with 6 very eminent scientists sitting on the panel, and I'm in the industry, but thank you so much for this opportunity. Sir, I think the question should be that not how, but since morning I've been awestruck with the kind of technical advancement that I've been seeing from various institutions. At the same time, I also think that there is a lot which has actually percolated down to the field, maybe to the farmers and that. So there's sort of gap between what we have and what the implementation is. So instead of how, I think the question should be, the objective of all this should be to add more market or add to the market of this agriculture sector. And for this, I think if you talk about to answer this question that how this can be done, we'll have to look at different stakeholders. For example, first of all, coming to the farmers, I think this kind of technology and informed decision, if goes to the farmer, it will first help him to optimize his input and reduce his cost or optimize his cost of production. Second area that you can look at is to increase definitely the yield of the crop, but most importantly, I think farmer can get a very well decision on what to grow and when to grow. We have been talking about that on the change in the weather, the change in the soil, and also on the suitability. I think that kind of information can definitely help farmer take a decision that what kind of crop he is going to grow, what will kind of input that he has to spend on it, what kind of market price he can realize, which will help him maximize his income with the available resource that he is having currently, which is the land. And also the timing at which he has to grow, looking at any kind of risk which is coming from either the weather and all, will help him reduce his loss or risk at the crop. At the last, it is the market timing. So right now we all understand that farmers are getting into a distress sale because they don't want to hold the commodity if they are not aware that how the prices are going to move in the future, in the near future, near 3 to 4 months. If we have this kind of information coming in, so there can be a prediction on the prices, there can be a very well advanced information on how the prices are going to move, and then farmer can also take a very confident decision whether he want to hold its stock for a couple of months, which can give him another 5%, 10%, 20% increase in the rate. So there can be very well informed decision. And right now farmers are either not doing it because they are not even aware about how the price is going to be. So I think most of the value will be created at the farmer level, and the need should be to create the value at the farmer's level. The second perspective comes from the industry. In industry, I'll give an example of this being a very fragmented industry, and this lack of information leads to a lot of lost opportunities in creating linkages. In this recently concluded season, we have maize coming from a few districts of Uttar Pradesh. So this year, the production estimates what were coming right now from the field were about multifolds as compared to last year. I'm not talking about percentages, I'm talking multifolds. So there was a large increase in the maize area, but there, no one was having that information on that, or the surety that how much area has gone into that particular crop. So the actually area was very high, but industry was not prepared to create those kind of linkages. There were not many service providers with the warehousing. There were not many traders, the transportation, everything coming in. So there was a lot of maize which was much more than the expected volume. And then there was an untimely rain, which impacted the final quality of the maize, and those 60-70% of maize was picked up from the market, but another we have a loss of 30-40% because we are not having information on what is the prediction of the rain, what is the kind of maize. I'm just assuming that if that kind of information could have gone to the industry, we could have seen much better linkages being created in the industry. Lastly, I think with one more application could be homogenization of agri commodities, which will help us create better international markets. I'm talking about products like soya oil, I'm talking products like basmati rice, where the varietal insights is very much required by the industry. And as of now, even with this being such a big industry, the role of technology is very limited, and it is highly needed, because basmati people, or in case of sugarcane, or in case of even for starch based maize industry, so all these players are looking at varietal insights. They are looking at technical insights on how to control the fertilizer usage, how to homogenize the varieties, how to homogenize the quality, and that is the area which is bringing a lot of inefficiencies in our own system and making us non-competitive when it comes to international markets. So that is another area of intervention where remote sensing technologies can help in adding value. And on the last statement, I would say input companies, especially on the seeds and pesticides, right now there are a lot of inefficiencies because of this lack of information. They are, creating their supply chains in the market on a hunch, on a lot of predictions which may go wrong on weather, rain. They are unsold inventories, there are returns on inventories, and especially on the seeds, where even the planning on seed industry, and this is where the even seed replacement rate is very low. So I think these are other areas where this kind of information, if it goes in the right format to the farmers, to the trade body, and to the input companies, can remove a lot of inefficiencies and create much better market for our commodities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Atul. So you have given nice inputs and thoughts on how what is the need of the hour from in the perspective of the market intelligence from satellite remote sensing community, and how they can be benefited. Precise information is available on several aspects of the value chain. So thank you for we look forward your future cooperation in the system of agriculture applications with remote sensing data. So now we have almost come to the conclusion for today's panel discussion. So the essence is that there are several gap areas, though a lot of development has taken place over last 30-40 years in the agriculture sector, agriculture and allied sector. However, those gap areas need to be filled through research and taken it forward to the more application oriented and user oriented. So starting from agriculture university, then ICAR, and then State Remote Sensing Center, ISRO, market intelligence. So we have heard them a lot. So I think there is a need to have the combined and collaborative work, which actually can be done maybe between the agencies and with the ministries. So to make it a robust geospatial and vibrant geospatial system for agriculture, I hope that definitely Krishi DSS will take us to the long way with that. And this today's inauguration of Krishi DSS is a revolutionary step towards that. So I personally and on behalf of ministry thank all the eminent experts for sparing your time and giving your thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing their experts' thought. I would like to invite Preeti ma'am from MNCSC to present memento to our esteemed speakers for this panel discussion.
brought that particular technology into the PMFBY. So the revamped PMFBY is discussing mostly on the spatial technology-based remote sensing or alternative risk transfer or risk assessment. So in future, I foresee an parametric solutions and the industry, the remote sensing industry or the remote sensing industry have to come out with good solutions to back the PMFA or with the climate change and with the various events happening across the country, be it Uttarakhand or the Sikkim or the Wayanad recently. So the spatial data sets will help in improving the crop insurance in a big way. So that is my take, sir.
Yeah, so the key takeaway here is that the future of crop insurance is not based on the area yield approach alone, but simultaneously we require parametric insurance products where the remote sensing data is going to play a very huge role. So right now, most of our applications are centered around 10-meter data. The moment we switch over to parametric data, parametric products, we may be requiring finer resolution, multispectral data, maybe around 5 meters or so, and with more frequent observations. So this is a very important area where parametric insurance products, there's a lot of scope. So now the another point is that we require farmer-centric information products, whether it is for insurance purpose or it is for any other purpose, farmer relief or farmer welfare purpose. So we require the analytics at the field scale level because the data sciences, analytics is progressing very, very fast. So I request the representative from Wasser Labs. So how the data analytics is progressing to produce the information, crop information at field scale level. Let it be remote sensing data, let it be smartphone data, whatever it is. What is your thought process? So are there any operational models? If they are not available, what is the time frame? Next 1 year, can you produce the analytics at farmer-centric generate information products?
So first of all, thanks a lot for giving the opportunity. Sitting here with so many experts is an honor here. Answering to, are there any operational products at the field scale? I think I heard many questions in the earlier forums where soil moisture stress discussion happened at a field scale. There was a discussion on early warning on the pest and diseases. We were fortunate to work in AP where right in 2017, 2018 and 19, the data was brought at a field scale. At that time, not at a polygon, but at a geotag level. Every farm plots were digitized, and we were able to run various early warning models. I think when we talk about disaster and climate resilient agriculture, it's very important that while we look into design element, finance element, we also need to look into how do we work to protect and early warn all these disasters. So back in 2017, 18 and 19, 3 continuous years, we were doing early warning on pest and disease, and we modeled more than 70 pest disease combination along with the crops. And across 50 lakh farms, these early warnings with an advance of 1 week notice were relayed, where with confidence level, what pest and disease are going to attack were relayed all the way to village, and farmers were tagged, along with the crop information were tagged, which are the farms which will have a pest attack. Beyond that, there was a soil moisture very similar to Segal sir talked about, and some discussion on soil moisture also happened, that there is a possibility of bringing the soil physics, the crop model, along with the rainfall and weather data to do a real-time estimation on soil moisture. So we were doing at 50 lakh farms on a daily basis, where rain information and soil physics information, then crop models were all brought in together to create a daily level soil moisture forecasting. And with an advance of 10 days, every farm were alerted if there was a soil moisture stress, and irrigation facilities were mobilized to protect those farms from dying. So this is an early warning example. I would just like to add a couple of more things, sir. While we are working now along with the farmer, we also see that how can we translate every perils and hazards into an economic value, where farmer is able to make a crop selection choice based on where the farm is, what kind of weather related risk he is exposed to, what kind of soil related risk he is exposed to, also what kind of pest and disease related risk he is exposed to, and he make a choice of crop planning based on these risks. And all these information needs to relay down not just into a dashboard, but it needs to go into the hand of farmer in a very easy format, where he has a login just like Facebook, and he is able to see the farms which he owns, like farm 1, farm 2, farm 3, and real-time status of all of them, and he's able to monitor right through his farm from his portal.
Yeah. So thanks for your inputs and what going on. So now I think this has covered fairly all topics related to risk management in agriculture. And my summary is that there is a lot of scope to develop new geospatial solutions in this particular discipline or domain, and the capabilities of private sector industry in terms of data analytics is fast rising. I think we need to adopt some kind of an inclusive approach to bring solutions and mainstream the risk management solutions in agriculture sector. So with this comment, I think the panel discussion for this particular panel stands closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your expert. I would like to invite Karan sir from MNCFC to kindly present memento to our esteemed moderator and panelist.
My team member, Karan Chaudhary.
Now we move on to our last panel discussion on space technology for soil resource mapping, soil health monitoring and management. This panel discussion was moderated by Dr. Milind Vadotkar sir as a Chief Soil Survey Officer from Lucy. Our estimated panelists include experts from our Dr. P.L. Patil sir, Vice Chancellor from University of Agriculture Science, Dharwad, Dr. G. Sujata ma'am from NRSC, Professor Ashish Pandey sir from. So let me call the Professor Ashish Pandey sir from IIT Roorkee, Dr. Rabi and Sahu sir from IRI, and Dr. Dev Jyoti Pal sir from as a Vice President. Please join me in welcoming all of them. Now I'd like to introduce respective panelists and moderator of the session. Mr. Vinit Valkar sir is associated with application of space technology in the field of agriculture from last 32 years. He served in many national institutes like NRSC ISRO, Hyderabad, Nagpur, ICR Nagpur, and UPRSEC Lucknow. He is mainly associated with soil survey, soil mapping, and application of space technology for mapping, monitoring, and planning of crop and soil. He has received many awards, including 2 ISRO Excellence Award for his work. Dr. D.L. Patil sir has acted as a Vice Chancellor in University of Agriculture Science in Dharwad, having experience of more than 30 years in the field of soil research and have more than 100 publications in the reputed national and international journal. Ma'am Sujata ma'am has working as a senior scientist and head in the soil and land resources assessment from NRSC. She has around 30 years of expertise in remote sensing and geospatial application for soil and land resources. She has significantly contributed in the estimation of soil carbon stocks of the country, national mapping of land degradation, and generation of action plans for land and soil resource development. Professor Ashish Pandey sir is a Bharat Singh chairperson of the Ministry of Jal Shakti, Government of India, and the former head of the Department of Water Resources Development and Management from IIT Roorkee, Uttarakhand. He supervised 18 PhD and 94 MTech students and published more than 200 research papers. His research interests include irrigation, water management, soil and water conservation engineering in the applications of the water resources. Now, Dr. Rabi Narayan sir has done PhD in agriculture physics from IARI. He has rich experience in generating and mobilizing resources to lead different multidisciplinary and multi-institution national and international remote sensing research program through different external funded projects. He has published more than 240 publications. Professor Dev Jyoti Pal sir is a vice president in a deep technology startup of Galaxy I. With 3 decades of experience, he is working across diverse range of vertical, providing soils across government and public sector, water resources, and utilization in defense. He has also offered consultancy in advisory support to lead geospatial platform. I would like to begin your panel discussion, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all. And I welcome all the experts who are sitting beside me here for this particular very important topic. Till now, we were discussing on crops, crop mapping, as well as disasters. And today we have the very good beginning of inauguration of the Krishi DSS, which will be a landmark in agriculture. Similarly, now with regard to soils, as you all aware, they are the basic important natural resource of our agriculture on which depend the complete agriculture ecosystem. And there are many aspects which are involved in the soil. And as you all aware, that we have very finite soil resource which are having getting degraded because of various factors. We have in the country around 142 million hectares of agricultural land. It is necessary for us to sustain this soil resource so that we can give the food security to around 142 crore Indian population. And the dilemma here is that we have 142 million hectares of agricultural land. We have our population of around 140. And this population is increasing, but our land resource is shrinking day by day. So it is very imperative that we have to sustain this soil resource. And for this purpose, there are many things which the Government of India, Ministry of Agriculture, Department of Agriculture has started. Many programs are presently in vogue for sustainability of our soil resources. As you all are aware that we are having a very important project of soil health card. The ministry has started this project in 2014, and then after that we have produced around 23 crores of soil health card have been distributed to various farmers. Apart from that, there are many important schemes which are going on. I just would like to highlight here the very important development which has taken place is that now the ministry has initiated this soil mapping on 1:10,000 scale for the entire country, and that will be a very important milestone for this country. To begin with, I just want to start with the soil mapping project and the related activities of soil database generation. And I first would like to ask Dr. P.L. Patil sir, who is Vice Chancellor of one of the very important university in country, and Dharwad University. of Agriculture Sciences. And there they are already working on the reward program, the World Bank funded, and in which they are preparing the land resource inventory on at detail level. So I'd like to ask him his experiences and the importance of soil mapping for the country as such.
Good afternoon to everyone. So thank you, Dr. Milind Vododkar, and thanks for the organizers for giving me this opportunity. So with respect to the land resource mapping is concerned, we must pay tributes to Dr. Saigal.
Yeah.
He is the person started land resource mapping in the country and completed entire India at 1:250,000 scale using the satellite remote sensing imageries. That is the beginning in the land resource mapping. Then based on need basis, SLUSI as well as NBSS, LUP, NRSC, they are conducting land resource inventory and mapping at 1:50,000 scale as well as at 1:8,000 scale. So based on the report of Sri Hanumantaraju in Government of Karnataka for watershed development planning, watershed development planning should be based on the land resource assessment as per his the recommendation. In view of that, University of Agriculture Sciences, Dharwad, Government of Karnataka, as well as NBSS LUP Regional Center, Bangalore, jointly submitted a project to Government of Karnataka, which was then sent to Government of India. So Government of India asked World Bank for funding. So that is the genesis of Sujala 3 project for land resource inventory at 1:8,000 scale. That is the first of its kind in the country that World Bank has funded for the science-based project, land resource inventory results-based watershed development project. So in that project, all the state agriculture universities in Karnataka have been involved and surveyed about 2,500 micro watersheds on pilot basis, covering about 12,500 hectares. So I have led that project in US Dharwad from 2014 to 2020, covering about 633 micro watersheds and 4.75 lakh hectares. Similarly, all other state agriculture universities have done that. So that is the detailed land resource inventory at 1:8,000 scale, covering each field parcel, all the surface features, then the profile sampling and mapping the land resources up to phase level, and then evaluating each field parcel for crop suitability, of course at the first level land capability and then crop suitability. And also the database is at 250-meter grid interval nutrient sampling, surface sampling. So such a vast database has been created at the first level. So realizing the importance of this, along with this, the report generation was atlas consisting of 50 thematic maps. You name any soil properties, either surface feature or any soil property, there is a map. So the integration of this database
was used for preparation of DPR for soil and water conservation planning, and it was concurrently implemented by line department. Then at each field parcel level, like soil health card, we have generated land resource information card. That is holistic, consisting of surface features, soil depth, crop suitability, soil and water conservation requirement for that particular land parcel. So such a wealth of information was given to each and every farmer in each field parcel. And about 10 decision support systems have been developed in that. The mobile-based service was given, and realizing this became popular among the World Bank. So in the Western countries also. In the second phase, it was extended to other area in Karnataka as well as Orissa state. Of course, the Andhra Pradesh was also included. They failed to contribute 25% of the state grant. It was not included. Now, the second phase is covered in the name of reward. So there is target much more than what it was in the Sujala project. So the only requirement from the user sides to the Space Application Center or ISRO is high resolution satellite data for we to assess the natural resources properly. That's what our requirement. And if that is cloud free and high resolution database is provided to the user, they will be meaningfully used and the coverage will be done at a faster rate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. As Dr. Patil ji had just mentioned about LRI, it is a very important thing, and very thankful for your views, sir. Now I would like to ask Dr. Sujata. She is a senior scientist from National Remote Sensing Center, Hyderabad, and she is a head of the soils division. Many projects have been done for soils and land degradation by NRSC. Can you just focus on the land degradation aspect of your work?
Thank you, Milind.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Land degradation, as you know, is a result in reduction of productivity. This is because of the deterioration in soil physical, chemical, and biological properties. So NRSC has completed till date 2 cycles of national level land degradation mapping on 1:50,000 scale. So under this project, we have mapped 8 degradation process like water erosion, wind erosion, salinization, alkalization, waterlogging, acidification, glacial, and others using satellite data as well as the limited ground truth data and soil chemical analysis. So according to our findings, around 91.2 million hectares in India is under degradation, which is around 27.7% of our total geographical area. And out of all these processes, water erosion is the most dominant one, occurring in 15%. We have seen, but we have compared the 2005-06 land degradation data with 2015-16, and our observation is that there is a reduction in degradation in an area of around 91,000 hectares. So these changes we have noticed mostly in salt-affected areas, then waterlogging areas, and also in the dunes. So these were in these areas, it was either reclaimed or some soil conservation practices have been taken up. But we have also observed that there are also changes from normal to the degradation land. And after this, we also wanted to find out the soil carbon stocks and soil carbon losses in some of the places. So what we did is we have used a spatial version of ROTC model in Karnataka state to find out what is the loss of soil carbon due to decomposition of organic matter. So we have found that around 2.5 to around 5 tons per hectare per year is of soil carbon loss is being observed in this area. And when it comes to measurement of farm level soil carbon, it is still a challenge, and we have to standardize the methodologies. And these methodologies now we are concentrating on use of drone, then UAVs, hyperspectral remote sensing, and machine learning. Means machine learning can make use of lot of data sources, data from different sources like input, which can be a field measurements or the laboratory measurements. And we also have to use the process-based models. That is, it can be a statistical or a mathematical model which can predict or which can identify the patterns and that are existing in the soil data or the soil properties. And the outputs we can get as a continuous thematic or the raster data. So why this land degradation has to be? So these results, what we have obtained, we have also tried to develop a land degradation neutrality plans based on the soil information, the land degradation data set what we are having, and we have also used the slope data and also the land used land cover information. So this we have done at 50,000 scale, but for really implementing, for generating an action plan and implementing at the ground level, we need to have a high larger scale information on land degradation. So as the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare is planning to take up the soil mapping at 1:10K, I think this offers a really a great wealth of information. So that could be made use of. And similarly, like characterization of ravines, we can make use of the interferometry data, and some LIDAR studies can also be taken up. And in soil degradation, the new areas that are coming up is the effect of microplastics in soils, because after COVID period, lot of microplastic waste, especially use of lot of masks and all, this is leading to a lot of contamination in soil. So this also has to be worked out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sujata ji. Now we have seen that how soil mapping is important and how the land degradation. Why we do all these activity is because we want to understand the soil, what are the different type of soils, where they are occurring, and what is the extent of their distribution. And important thing is what are their limitations and what are their potentials. Now after land degradation, mapping work was completed in cycle 1 and cycle 2 cycles. We have got a lot of information on different degradation which is taking place, the processes, and now it is important to reclaim that. So there are a lot of soil and water conservation measures which are being undertaken in our country through different agencies. As you are all aware that MG Narega is one of the important program, and in that lot of soil water conservation activities are undertaken by the Panchayat. So now what is important is now further is how these water conservation measures should be done properly and efficiently at the ground level. And today among us, we have Professor Ashish Pandey from IIT Roorkee. He has done a lot of work on water management and other activities. So I'd like to ask Ashish Pandey your views on how these soil water conservation measures can be undertaken as a targeted intervention for the field, in the field.
Thank you, Dr. Milind. So the title of conference is Transformation of Agriculture. And if we are talking about agriculture, if we are not including water, it means our cycle is not complete.
Correct.
So as we all know that irrigation
is
the largest user of water. More than 80% water used for agriculture purpose. And actually we don't have any mechanism to check it. So we conducted some study and we found that if we can measure soil moisture accurately, we can save around 25 to 30% of water. Even from using forecast given by IMD, if our one advisory is right, so a farmer can save around 1200 rupees in a hectare. So how we can measure accurate soil moisture using satellite data? I think it should be addressed anyhow, because we are having lot of satellites for land use coverage, all those things we are discussing. Other very important thing, like when we are doing irrigation, So not only water is lost, we are also losing lot of nutrient. Our agriculture fields are also affected by soil erosion. So considering that, optimal amount of water should be delivered to the farmer's field, and only space technology is the answer. So not only in other aspect space technology is required, for water management also we should give more emphasis. Sometimes we feel that this will be dealt by Ministry of Jal Shakti, sometimes we feel that it will be dealt by Ministry of Agriculture, but it should be dealt in integrated manner. So water saving can be done because now our water availability is decreasing day by day. Now it has come down to 1400 cubic meter per person per year, and at the time of independence it was around 5300 cubic meter per person per year. And by 2050, as we all know that, it is going to be reduced further. And you can't reduce water in agriculture sector. Only the best way is how we can increase the water use efficiency, so the future food requirement can be met. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, another important aspect in our soil resources is presently is the use of spectroscopic techniques for this, because a lot of things we have seen is the weight chemistry through which we understand the soil parameters. There is another technique of the non-destructive methods of understanding about the soil parameters and its properties. So a lot of work has been is being presently undertaken world over to have to understand whether the spectroscopic techniques will be useful for understanding the soil properties like NPK, calcium, magnesium, and micronutrient and other fertility status. So we have among us Dr. Sahuji. He has done a lot of work on the soil spectroscopy. He is a professor in IRI, and he is doing a lot of work in this field. So I'd like to ask Dr. Sahuji to please focus on this particular aspect of soil spectroscopy.
And thank you, Dr. Milind, and also the organizer for giving this opportunity to share some of those feedback what we have. And as you know, the soil health card program of the country, and you know the challenge what we have with respect to weight chemistry. Keeping that in view, soil spectroscopy plays a very important role. I think since long we have been working on spectroscopy for different applications like hyperspectral remote sensing. We are talking of previous sessions, a lot of deliberations was there. So soil has been a big challenge. Soil is not that simple as in the vegetation when you look at the soil spectroscopy. It doesn't have that kind of very smooth curve goes. So that's what the science challenge what we have. So the first and foremost part is the developing a standardized spectral library. Standardized means the standardized with respect to national and international standard protocols, what it is. Not that whatever the signature, whatever the spectral reflectance you collect, that becomes a signature. So that's what the first and foremost thing we need to develop a SOP to declare any spectral reflectance curve as a spectral signature. So one aspect is that. Again, another part is since hyperspectral remote sensing is a very expensive research, luxurious research, every facility can't have. So countrywide, you should have facilities with respect to soil spectroscopy or hyperspectral remote sensing labs. Wherever we have, we should gather that opportunity to collect and do that spectral library generations. Until now, in collaboration with Space Application Center, NRSC, NBSS LUP, Indian Social Science, IRE, we have a huge amount of spectral library that we have standardized and putting in the web also. And there's a continuous process we are working, starting from 400 to 500 nanometer, at then also beyond that using thermal observance and emissive spectra. And same time, we have also metadata, that is weight chemistry data, to use all those recent models to see the challenge remains is how best we can come out with the low-cost sensor technology for the soil fertility assessment. You bring the soil to the lab, you go with the fertility assessment. That's what our challenge is. So that's what we have been working, and to some extent we are success. Second part is, if at all somebody has a spectral library, a spectral signature collected, he doesn't have much knowledge on the machine learning, or deep learning, AI. So we have created 500 plus algorithms on the web itself. You just put your spectral library and select what kind of soil type. That's a graphic user interface driven. Then you can know within no time what is your soil, what predicted data, what you are getting. Almost 12 soil parameters we are doing. Again, the third part, so this is what with respect to lab conditions, if you want to get the soil fertility, that's a big achievement. Second part is if you can go to the field conditions, flying a drone with a hyperspectral imaging camera, or the average sensing campaign, what we had in collaboration with the Space Application Center, we had to some extent success with respect to some of the soil fertility parameters we have done. Third part is digital soil mapping in the large scale, like we are talking of 1:10,000, 1:50,000, using the available satellite data, sensors, using those environmental covariates and also machine learning programs, mostly random forest and support vector machine. You can go in 1:10,000 scale if you use internal series data of the digital soil map. But accuracy, when you go from the lab to the field to the digital soil map, goes down. So our efforts should be how to improve the accuracy and do a unified soil approach to get the soil digital map, which will be input to many studies what we have. This is what I'm doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Sauji. We have heard about the soil spectroscopy. There is another important aspect where we have to see that because of the advanced technology, new sensors have come in fore, and we have to make use of those sensors which are there, a new technology which has come, and ministry is giving a lot of focus on startups. And we have to understand how the different startups and the industry is using these sensors for soil-based studies. So we have with us Dr. Dev Jyoti Pal. He is Vice President of Galaxy, which is engaged in sensors and the spectroscopic studies. So I'd like to ask Dr. Dev Jyoti Pal how he looks at the new trend of this and how you think that your technology will be helpful for the soil study purpose.
Thank you, Milind. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to represent the industry and the startups. As you know, in India, the startup ecosystem with respect to the sensors has boomed all of a sudden in the last 3-4 years. If you look at companies like Galaxy, which is developing a sensor or a payload which has SAR and multispectral together on the same platform.
Correct.
What advantage it gives is you can fuse the SAR data along with the optical multispectral data, so you can get the best of both the images. SAR, bit difficult to interpret, optical, not easy when it is a rainy season to use or a foggy condition to use. If you fuse these, you can regenerate the optical data, create the data, and analyze it accordingly. In addition to that, there are other companies like say Pixel or Planet and Sature who are developing sensors. Pixel developing the hyperspectral, Planet already having the soil mesh moisture images, thematic maps across the globe, which is around 100-meter resolution. Correct me, Planet guys, if I'm going wrong. But they have already used the SAR data and the optical data of Sentinel and the passive remote sensing to create this kind of data set.
Correct.
So one of the biggest need of the hour is, a lot of research goes on from the government side, a lot of, applications are developed, but if the usage of the images or the data which is getting captured by different startups and the ecosystem is adopted, absorbed, and used, then it becomes much more effective. That is my way of saying the things. That's all.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dev Jyoti Palji. We have just now seen how the soil mapping is important, land degradation and the water conservation and irrigation point of view, and the important thing of the soil spectroscopy and the various sensors which are in play and all this. For all these aspects which we have covered now, the Ministry of Agriculture is giving a lot of impetus on all these activities. And I'd like to tell here to all the audience that the Ministry of Agriculture has started the project on national soil mapping on 1:10,000 scale, and has also done a lot of activities that the soil spectroscopy should be put in the forefront, so that we can have some technique for the farmer that his soil fertility status can be known in less time. than what is being presently we have to take. So these are some of the important aspect, and important thing is that as a director of the Soil and Land Use Survey of India, I'd like also to inform you that our organization is doing a lot of work on soil survey and land use planning. We have already covered around 29 million hectares. It's a large tract of the area of the country, and we have put it under the soil map on 1:10,000 scale. We are doing relentlessly. Our team is working hard in field, and they collect the soil observations and prepare the soil map. And we are all doing all these things in the digital mode. All these databases are put into the Krishi DSS in the digital format, and all these will be helpful for our farmers for understanding. The one important thing is that the soil site suitability for different crops, then for soil and water conservation measures, and another important thing is the watershed management and for other activities which are important in Indian agriculture with regard to the targeted interventions which we are doing at the panchayat level. Friends, we had a very good and fruitful discussion here. I'd like to conclude here, and I would like to thank you for your patient hearing. I thank the organizers for giving us this opportunity to talk here on the aspect of soils and crops and Krishi DSS. Thank one and all. Thank you. Thank you all the panelists.
Thank you, ma'am and sir, for sharing your expert and valuable thoughts on the pertinent topic. It was really very informative binding session. Now invite Dr. Sunil sir from MNCFC to kindly present mementos to all the esteemed panelists.
Dr. Dev Jyotipal. Dr. Sahuji. Professor Ashish Pandey. Dr. Sujata. Dr. P.L. Patil, sir.
Now, I would request Sri Chandan Kumar Sir, Under Secretary, Digital Agriculture, to kindly present memento for the MNCFC organization. First, I would like to welcome Sri Ravi Ranjan Sir, as a director from IIT. Sir, kindly wait. I would Next, I would like to invite Srimati Preeti Tehlani ma'am from